Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome and bienvenido. Welcome to Technical Showcase. Our fellows today will demonstrate to you projects they have been working on for over 6 weeks now, 6.5 weeks. A bit of background, the fellows of 6.3 was selected from a pool of over 1,000 applicants to be part of the program, the Pursuit program. The fellows entered this program knowing how difficult the undertaking would be to get into programming. The fellows have made family sacrifices, job sacrifices. They had to give up the jobs to have this 10-month commitment, to make this 10-month commitment. They're a resilient group. They're very resilient. Our journey began physically at Pursuit headquarters located in Long Island City. During the pandemic outbreak, we had to take our program remote. That was very difficult. It was hard. It was a hard transition for most fellows, including myself, from being physically located at Long Island City, where we could have a community, to go to remote. So that bit was a bit hard there for everybody involved. Over 80% of our fellows of 6.3 never had any programming background. So the apps you're seeing today, there was no programming background, no iOS background, no Swift background before Pursuit. We are in 9 months right now. So currently today makes 9 months of the program. So the fellows again we started in September. So now we're about 9 months into our program with a few weeks left into the program. The fellows began their programming journey building applications using the macOS command line tool, right? So picture basically the programming in DOS for people back in Windows era. So basically white text on black background. That's what the fellows did for the first 5 weeks of the program. So they built applications from Text Adventure to Hangman to calculator apps to Blackjack. From there, the journey took them to seeing the actual first application on the simulator or the device. That left them wanting for more. It's like, wow, cool. We all here, the first time we actually saw the simulator, we were all in awe, like, oh my God, I'm getting there. It's really coming alive. Today, they have completed the core standard curriculum at Pursuit. So the core standard curriculum is about five units, 5 months of programming. From there, they go into hackathon, which the fellows have gone through already. The curriculum includes networking, testing, and baby crying. No, there's no baby. Well, there might be baby crying as well in curriculum. Depends on the day. Using Firebase is our backend. So all the applications, most of the applications you'll be seeing today, there's no web involvement as far as like, we're not teaching web in iOS here, but what we do use is Firebase. So all the applications you'll see here today, they're backed up by Firebase. Firebase is what we use in our core curriculum. Today, the fellows will showcase before you what their imagination and developing toolbox has equipped them with. All the fellows had passions heading into Pursuit, right? So if we have to go back to their bios, there's all types of apps the fellows wanted to build coming into the program. Today, you will see some of those applications come to life. From replicating a Susu, a community savings account mostly used in third countries, like myself. In St. Lucia, we use Susus. You'll see that come to life in an application. From helping users to be aware of global warming through augmented reality. And to keep in mind, augmented reality is not taught in core curriculum. So the fellows went beyond what was taught to them, and they created this particular application. To allowing a user to keep track of their job interviews, right? Which is what the fellows are currently going through, searching for that job. So there's to locating an office space once you land that job. So you got the job, now you want to get an office space to keep coding. To helping you find a musician, like we saw earlier, right? The one musician with the glasses on. We at Pursuit are extremely proud of all the accomplishments. But wait, there's more. So today is Technical Showcase, but beyond Technical Showcase, come back Monday, the fellows have to go back into preparing for the job interviews, practicing the data structures and algorithms. There's a lot more work there to be done. So today, feel free to sample the applications. Feel free to ask them questions when we go into the breakout rooms later. Most of the apps you'll be seeing today Some of them are already available on TestFlight. Feel free to share your email if you want to get. So I would ask you to mute yourself if you're not actually talking. So sorry about that. So today, feel free to sample their applications, ask them technical questions. Again, today's technical showcase is all about how did this implementation happen? What were the bottlenecks? What are you doing going forward? Why did you implement it this way? Feel free to ask questions. Have fun. It's a day of fun. It's a day of coding. It's a day of togetherness. Pursuit begins and ends with community. So it's all about community building. So with that, I would like to thank everybody for being here today. Today is a big day in the fellows' careers as they move forward. I would like to thank the mentors, the volunteers, the entire Pursuit family for making today possible. With that, I'll hand it over to Dessa.
Thank you, Alex. I'll just ask if everyone can please mute for a moment. Let me resume sharing my screen. Awesome, thank you. So thank you, Alex, very much for that wonderful welcome. Today, I'd just like to introduce, well, first of all, not introduce, but to highlight and thank our 6.3 iOS capstone volunteer mentors from Capital One: Matthew Burke, Manish Singh, Alvin Ardino, Rich Reitzfeld, Tajinder Singh, Ashley Rankin, Adrian Bolenger, and Antonio Flores. We are really, truly appreciative of you for all of your mentorship of our fellows. Your contributions have been very much appreciated, noted, and we hope that you continue to volunteer with Pursuit and to work with our fellows moving forward. We also would like to give a very huge thanks to all of our funders and supporters, especially Capital One at the moment, who have taken a greater hand in us volunteering and working with our fellows throughout Capstone and now in preparation for Technical Showcase. I'd like to introduce to you Andrew Glenn. He is the Managing Vice President of Capital One, very passionate about technology, and has a great track record of hiring, developing, and retaining all-star engineers and managers. Without further ado, I would love to introduce to you Andrew Glenn, who will give us some remarks.
Thank you, Dessa. Is it possible to take off the screen share so I can see more faces? Awesome. Can I get a wave or a high five if you can hear me? Or a thumb. Woo! Great, I love that. It's like a nice, like Simon Says moment. Thank you, Dessa and Alex, for having me here today. Alex, I loved what you said about when you described the first time you get to see a simulator and you're like, oh, this is real. Like that moment of kind of magic in programming. I just love that description. I remember long ago that moment for me, long ago. So thank you all for having me here today to just say a few opening remarks. I thought I'd talk a bit about who I am at Capital One, a bit of personal stuff, why Pursuit is so meaningful for me personally, and maybe just a bit of advice of as you enter the job world and sort of, I've been doing this for a long time and hiring lots of folks, and what I think is important as you enter the job market. So that's it. I'll just start with who I am. So my name is Andrew Glenn. I'm a Managing Vice President at Capital One. And with that, and specifically, I'm in charge of the digital customer experiences for the bank. So what does that mean? It means I run a bunch of the platforms around when you open an account with Capital One, or when you need to move money to pay a bill or to transfer it to a different account. When you go and use an ATM, the teams that work on that software also reports to me, or go to talk to a teller at an actual bank branch. All of that stuff reports to me. It's about, I don't know, 300 engineers now across 3 different locations. And I've been at Capital One for about 3 years, based in New York City the entire time. So that's me professionally. Personally, I live in New York City. I was born and raised in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. It's like the not trendy part of Brooklyn. But my home, my parents still live there in Brooklyn. I have a deep passion for New York City and love of it. I eventually moved out of Brooklyn and live in Manhattan, where I am with my wife. We live in a studio apartment in the West Village, which is a beautiful but expensive neighborhood. And so we live in the studio apartment with an 80-pound dog and a cat and a fish. And normally, like, that works great. We have the greatest time in this room together, except when there's a global pandemic and everyone has to work from home. My wife is studying to be a social worker, and she's on intense calls all day. And the two of us, we spent a week being in this one room together before realizing that was not good for our marriage. And so right now I am at a home in the Poconos, which is just a couple hours west of New York City, where we're hiding out for a bit, and we have separate workspaces, which definitely works better. The dog might walk by the background of this at some point. You won't miss him because he is enormous. So that's me on the personal side. And today I think I wanted to talk briefly about Pursuit, about Capital One, and give a bit of advice to folks as you enter the workforce as junior engineers. So let me start with like Pursuit and like why it's so important to me. I was telling some folks I actually hate talking in front of crowds. It terrifies me. I've been doing this for a lot of years, and it still absolutely terrifies me. But I'm just really, it's like, this is one of the best things I do at Capital One, and I'm so proud of our commitment here, and I love the Pursuit organization so much that, like, this is, last year I actually was a judge at one of the Capstone Project events, and so this year I thought I would come back and speak, just because it's such a meaningful organization to me. And like, for me personally, with what's going on right now, like in New York City and society with Black Lives Matter, like, there's like never been a brighter spotlight on social justice and on economic injustice. And like, I think I've awoken to it in just this way, that probably I should have a long time ago, but I've just started really learning about economic impact of systemic racism, and really getting deeper into that work. And I like barely know anything about it, but I know enough to know that the Pursuit community like is impacted by these issues. Pursuit fellows are, I think it's 70% Black and Hispanic. Many come from low income communities, and Pursuit's mission, like, it speaks to this moment in history that we're a part of. And it's that Pursuit is helping to address racial and economic injustice by creating these new economic opportunities. I just think it's just beautiful. It's just such a fitting like organization for this moment, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it and affiliated with it in any way, and I'm sure you all are too. And like on the Capital One side, so bear with me, but we have it's a super cheesy motto, Capital One's motto, which is changing banking for good. And when you go and like, if you interview there, people repeat this to you, and you're like, well, that's just like, it's hard to not laugh. Like, we change banking for good. But when I got there, like, I was like, oh, it's actually something people say once you're there, and something people tend to believe is like, how can we actually have a good impact on society as a big bank? And some of it is the features I get to build that help reduce customers' anxiety and help reduce their financial anxiety and do the right thing for the customer. And some of it is giving to organizations that are really doing good for the community, like our partnership with Pursuit. And also, more recently, we made a $10 million donation to organizations that advance social justice, specifically for Black communities. We built out another $50 million to support other nonprofit organizations who are struggling, you know, in this time, plus pandemic on top of that. And so like this like change banking for good and desire to change society, like, yeah, I drink the Kool-Aid of Capital One, and I believe it, especially when things like this come on. I'm getting a lot of hand signals. I assume they're like positive. This is a good thing. Thank you, Tiffany. So, so look, I'm just so glad that we've been supporting Pursuit since 2014. I've only been doing this 3 years, but we've been here since 2014. And by the way, it's not just like, you know, me or Capital One. I'm so inspired by all the mentors that are here. Their names were up on the board before. All you iOS developers who are helping mentor the capstone projects from Capital One. Thank you so much for doing that work. I wish I could be there with you doing that work. I have not coded in a production app. Someone go on mute, please. Thank you. I have not coded a very important time where I tell you how bad I am at coding. Everyone really needs to hear this.
That's on mute, read me, whatever.
Maybe someone with some super great. So yeah, I wish I could be one of those mentors helping on projects, but my coding skills are certainly a bit rusty. I was a software engineer some years ago, but you all are already probably far better than I am at that. But I will say is that I've hired a ton of engineers. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been in 7 different like 7 different companies by now, all in New York City. And I'm pretty familiar with what makes like a great junior engineer. And I'm going to say something that'll get me into a little bit of trouble, but I wanted to share that message with you today. But like, it's not all about the code that you write. In fact, like, I would argue that's probably even less important. And I want to tell a little story, and then I'll be done here. But I was back maybe 7-8 years ago, and I was the CTO at a startup, and not everything was like in the cloud then. There's still like physical servers for things, and we did compiles and builds on a local, it was like a Dell tower, like picture like a Dell desktop, one of those big towers that sits under your desk. And our senior release engineer, he's doing his weekly build, and it's like a kind of intense time in the office. He's got his monitor, he's got his build, like no one bother him. And we have a pretty new, pretty immature junior engineer, and he's kicking around a soccer ball in the office. His name was Alex. I'm not telling you his last name. And as this build is like pushing out to production, a soccer ball kick goes like kind of off. It hits the monitor, like you couldn't have like planned this better. It hits the monitor, and it hits the power strip of the desktop tower. And this is not like laptops where you can unplug them and it just chugs on battery. The thing just shuts off. And you see like the look on the faces of everyone around as we look at this engineer is like, what have you done? And the build release, and all he does, and I won't forget it, he just goes, get out, and like points out the door. And so, you know, look, the build went fine, everything went back. It was just like a terrible moment. And so what's my point of the story is like, professionalism is important on the job. Maturity, especially in like a newer engineer, is insanely valuable, probably more than the lines of code that you write. Taking accountability, getting what you say you'll get done, getting that done no matter what, like more important than the speed of the solution that you write. So like, you all over 10 months have shown this commitment, this professionalism, this dedication, like this outstanding maturity to get where you are to this, not quite the end, but nearly the end of this insane program that you all have volunteered to do. And you couldn't have done that without this, you know, this maturity and this professionalism that you've gained. You know, I'm sure you came in with way more than most engineers and learned on the way. And I just want to say, like, that is, I've seen this for a lot of years and a lot of times. It is so important. It is so hard to teach to new engineers, and you all come with it, like come in with it and come in with this leg up, you know, in this really important way that I think just like sets you up for a wonderful career. So I just wanted to share that with you. Don't be Alex. Don't be the one kicking the soccer ball into the Dell tower. I know you would never do that after your training here. But that is one thing I will leave you with. And so I'll wrap up on behalf of Capital One. I'm just honored. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this moment, helping to celebrate, the capstone projects that everyone has worked so hard on. And I'm just really excited to see some demos. So thank you.
Woo! Thank you so much, Andrew, for that wonderful and inspirational speech on how to be a professional junior engineer.
Not to be me.
Oh my goodness. I will remember that story. Do you mind if I borrow it? Let's now transition into sharing with all of you a little bit about why we're all here today together with our fellows. So they have actually spent the last 6.5 weeks preparing for this very day in something called a capstone. This is where they get together in teams and they build iOS apps, design ideated completely by them, with minimal mentorship from their volunteer mentors. So Alex, can you speak a little bit more about the goals and objectives of Capstone for our guests?
Yes, definitely. So as stated in my opening remarks, the goal of Capstone is to get the fellows closer to being job ready, getting them closer to creating the brand, getting them closer to adding a solid project on their resume. Capstone is the biggest project that they build at Pursuit. So this is a big milestone. Today is a big milestone. There's more milestones to come, but today is a huge milestone because as we stated earlier, 60% of the applications here are on TestFlight, and TestFlight is the gateway to getting your app on the App Store. So the big goal is to get all the applications on TestFlight at minimum, and then post that, it would be getting the apps to the App Store. Because in this particular environment right now, nothing is more important than talking about actual apps you have pushed to the App Store, along with your own personal projects too. So today is that showcase. The fellows have all gotten the apps to MVP. So basically what we'll be seeing today is an MVP product that was built over 6 weeks. Now to keep that in perspective, one of those weeks, or maybe even almost 2 of those weeks, was spent on ideating the app, working on the data hierarchy of the app. So really and truly, it could be 4 weeks there that actually did some coding. And the last week, again, maybe really 3 weeks, because the last week was practicing for demos. So really, the fellows have done a lot. They've worked on weekends. They've worked throughout the morning. Sometimes there's no mornings or nights. There's no differences between them there. So those are the milestones. It's a big day for the fellows today. And all the applications were built with UIKit. SwiftUI is coming, but UIKit is not going anywhere. To put that in perspective, UIKit is SwiftUI is the newest framework that Apple has, but UIKit has been around since the dawn of the iPhone, so that's not going away. So the fellows have to have UIKit, and looking forward, they have to keep building up the skills, so looking into SwiftUI later. But for today, this is what we'll be looking for in the applications. Talk about persistence, saving user data, so any data that the user created, when I open the app again, is my favorite Instagram post, is it still there? Those are the things that we are looking for. And there's UI polish as well. Some of the apps, as I said before, it's only a couple of weeks they've been working on them. So there's design mentors that have come across Pursuit to give the fellows feedback on their designs. But again, this is MVP. There's still more work to be done. Today is a rough draft of what MVP is. So to set up the expectations there, the apps are not App Store ready per se today, but they are ready for MVP. And this is my problem. All the groups will go through, this is the problem, this is the solution, this is the MVP product of my application. So that's what we're looking for today. And this is what we have presented today to us. I'll head it over to Dessa. You on mute?
Thank you, Alex. So really, this entire process was this entire showcase, rather, this technical showcase, is a culmination of their capstone journey. And it's really to create an opportunity for fellows to present their capstone apps to you all, an external audience of engineers and guests, that showcases their technical mastery and their professional skills, as well as to provide them with an opportunity to get to know all of you and to familiarize themselves a little bit more with the tech industry. Just to note, really they're showcasing not only their presentation skills, but also that they were able to work or to collaborate effectively in teams and manage a product from start to finish. So without further ado, let's get on to what we're all here for. I would like to introduce the first team of fellows who will be demoing their app. That team is composed of Amani, Gregory, Cassandra, and Sering. They're wonderful fellows, and they have spent so much time developing CareerView. Without further ado, let's have CareerView.
Let's make some noise! Woo! Woo! Come on, get off mute. Let's make some noise. CareerView. Woo!
Well, thank you, Alex. Hello, everyone. We are Team CareerView. We are super excited to have all of you here. A quick introduction to myself. My name is Amani Al-Saidi, and before Pursuit, I received my bachelor's degree in bioinformatics, but slowly realized I needed to improve my coding skills, which led me to Pursuit. After Pursuit, I'm super excited to finally join the tech industry and be involved in all the innovation around the world.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sering Lama. Prior to Pursuit, I was a pharmacy student at the University of Buffalo. After my time here, I look forward to entering the tech field, integrating my knowledge of iOS and health.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Gregory Keeley. My background is in audio engineering, among many other things, and I'm here to bring my passion for tech to the next level and maybe do some good for this world.
I'm Cassandra Grujon. I'm a comics artist and an iOS developer. After this fellowship, I look forward to using my creativity in tech. So we wanted to solve a problem that our community is currently facing. People are on the job search now more than ever. And as fellow job seekers, we've noticed that the application process requires more than ambition and grit. It requires organization, preparation, and guidance.
Yeah, so for that reason, today we present to you CareerView. CareerView is a single platform that allows users to organize all aspects of their job search process. This includes allowing the user to keep track of their job history and experiences, which is essentially having what is a master resume directly on their phone. Also allowing the user to practice common interview questions, which is super essential to acing the interview as well as getting the job. And then lastly, allowing the user to keep track of all the jobs that they've applied to and the progress that they've made in that application. So let's see how it works. To start us off with our demo will be Sering.
Thank you, Amani. Our app is a network-based app, so we do have a login screen. It's currently filled with our user credentials. Once the user is logged in, they're welcome to the Job History tab. This tab shows users' current or past job experiences. The users can use this tab while filling out a new application or creating a tailor-made resume for a specific job. The user can click on an entry and then expand, showing additional information about the entry. The user can also edit by clicking the ellipsis button, or add a new entry by clicking the add button on your top right corner. Now to talk about job tracking, here's Greg.
Thank you, sir. So here we can see our user has applied to several jobs already, along with some of the basic information that goes along with those job applications. They can quickly and easily add a new application by tapping the plus icon in the top right corner, where they can enter the relevant information for the job application. Going back to all the jobs, they can tap on any individual one to get a more detailed look into the job and its current status. They can also edit, update, or delete the job application from here. Of course, applying to the jobs is only part of the formula, and being prepared for the interview is crucial. So to talk about star stories, here's Cassandra.
When answering interview questions, using the STAR method will help you form clear and impactful responses. On this page, the user can view their collection of STAR stories. They can edit or delete one by clicking the ellipses button. If they want to add a new entry, they can click the plus icon, and they get two choices, a freeform style or a STAR method format. These stories can be applied to their job history, and they can also be used in interview question answers, which Amani will now cover.
Yeah, so like we mentioned before, acing the interview is super important. So we realized that there are some questions that are commonly asked during an interview. So we gathered them here for the user and gave them quick access to them. They can review them, they can answer questions in what is a text format, or they can associate what is a star story to as an answer. They also have the ability to bookmark here or get what is a suggested way of answering the specific question. If you head back to the main view, they can click on the plus icon and maybe provide a question that they've recently found at an interview and they would like to create a custom question and keep track of it, or they can filter by all their bookmarked questions, common or custom. So heading back into the presentation, we have our technical milestones with Greg.
So we knew from the beginning that this was going to be a data-intensive app, and how we treated this information was going to be crucial to the process for both our code and the user. So as we planned, we built, we refactored, and we planned some more as we found better ways to accomplish these same goals. This naturally led into the user interface and experience, as we wanted to make sure we didn't overwhelm the user with that information. So we constantly refactored how the app behaved with that in mind, even allowing users to get more information on these interactions on any given screen. Lastly, we are proud to have multiple builds on TestFlight, and we're currently sending out invites so we can improve that experience if you'd like to participate. Of course, we weren't able to build everything that we wanted from day one, which leads us into future implementations.
As a team, we are proud of what we accomplished in the past 6 weeks, but we do have more goals in mind, starting with notifications. To give the user reminders or alerts for any upcoming interviews or any potential deadlines. Also having an offline mode for easy access of the data anywhere, and also saving it locally to one's device. We would also like to export user data to make a resume. Additionally, implementing Mac Catalyst, making it iPad and Mac OS compatible, and also integrating Apple and Google Sign-In. And a special thanks to our lead iOS instructor, Mr. Alex Paul, our project mentor, Rich, who is with us today, our UI mentor, Laura and Lynn, and all the Pursue staff. Thank you. We are Team CareerView, and thank you for your time.
Yeah. I apologize for the vuvuzela in advance.
Thank you so much, CareerView. Wonderful, wonderful app. Next up, we have ShareSpace. ShareSpace, are you ready? Take it away.
Hello, everybody. We are ShareSpace. And to introduce you guys to the team.
I have myself, Julian Angeles, Pursuit Fellow and former ComSci student.
Yulia Ingman, immigrant from Ukraine, currently transitioning from law background to tech.
I am Luba, former social worker, waitress, nutritionist, now iOS fellow at Pursuit. In the future, I would love to combine my passion for food and coding and get a job in the food tech industry, maybe. Eric?
Hello, everybody. I'm Eric. I used to work in the shipping department, so I consider myself a box in the past, but I'm definitely turning into a computer. So to introduce you guys to our problem, Luba.
So our app solves few problems that are especially relevant for right now. First one is extra rental space that people have because a lot of people are fleeing big cities, leaving homeowners and renters with empty spaces. The second problem is shift towards remote work environment. Lots of offices are closed and people, especially those with children, are in need for quiet and safe space to work. And the third problem is furloughs, and people who lost their jobs and roommates need a way to make some extra cash to be able to pay rent. So our app gives platform for people to rent out their spaces and to find places to work. And now we're gonna go into our demo with Julia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Julia, and you can learn more about me in my profile. As you can see, I'm working as iOS developer, and like as many of us during pandemic, I have to work from home. However, at home, I don't have an office. I don't have even my own space. That's why I have to use this, and I like to use this new app, which is called ShareSpace, to find actually office space. So what I will do right now, I will search some renting space in the area where I'm living in Brooklyn, and will try to rent for myself like office space to work in quiet and productive environment. So I see a few listings right now: office space, meditation space, and I will try to choose, for example, this one, which calls backyard space / office room. So I'm clicking on that to get more information, and I see nice pictures. Wow, it looks really great. And it says that perfect space for work, which exactly I need, has AC, has Wi-Fi, and I'm happy to make a reservation. So I will send inquiry for this week for a couple of days. And I see that I'm able to send even a message to the host. And I will ask if their office space is quiet, because it's exactly what I need right now. So I'm sending message to the host, and really looking forward that host will reply to me soon. To check the messages, I'm going to the chat, and where I see my message, and oh, I see that like host already replied. The host asked me if I would like to make a reservation. Yes, I would like to. And I'm sending to the host, and I see, great, confirm. And I'm going to the details of the reservation, and I see that it's already been accepted. So it took me less than a minute to make a reservation file, like awesome working space for myself. And I feel like in future, I may use like other renting spaces, like maybe garage space or meditation space, or even backyard space for some needs I need. And it leads us back to our deck and technical milestones.
Thank you, Julia, for that wonderful, wonderful demo. Hopefully, Julia wants to rent my workout space, because I'll be putting it up there after this. During our 6 weeks creating this app, we had three major technical milestones. One was the database querying, which you guys will get more information on the next slide. As well, we did have to introduce our own UI messaging system, as well as a calendar situation. But to explain the database querying, Bien.
All right, so for database querying, there's a limit. Firebase also has limitation on querying the database for multiple fields regarding compound inequalities. So I had two different solutions in mind. The first one was separating the querying into two different parts. First, querying on the database, followed by on the app. And the second solution that I came up was using geohashing to basically query for only one field on the database. However, that solution is not feasible given that Firebase Farser does not support partial query for field values. And to talk about our own built-in message kit, we have Eric.
So one of the things we wanted to do within our app was release some of the dependencies on certain pods. Originally, we started with Message Kit as a pod. We really didn't want to use it, so we ended up creating our own message UI. The first photo shows the initial setup. The second photo shows what we ended up with. It was a great milestone. Learn something new. Anything we learned is a milestone. And to have Luba explain the calendar part.
Yeah, so the calendar is an essential part of our app, and I've never worked with calendars before. So the challenge was to find a good dependency and also to implement it. And in general, like this project was just like, we did so many like milestones because we had to learn so many new things. And now we're gonna go into our future implementations. Eric?
So we would like to add a payment processing within it, as well as a reality kit integration that we've seen in WWDC last week, as well as a better database querying system and rating and review system, as well as a better pricing and notification.
And the last slide is big thank you to everyone, especially to Alex, our main instructor, Antonio, our mentor, Adrian, designers that helped us with UI. Special thanks to Brandon for helping with logo. Thank you, engineers, to Capital One, Pursuit staff, our sponsors, and of course to our families. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, apologies for the vuvuzela.
I like the vuvuzela.
Woo!
Do you want to introduce the next group?
Yeah, sure. So the next group will take us into SuShare. So earlier I spoke about SuShare and introducing SuShare to explain more about SuShare.
All right.
Ooh, make some noise, come on. This is the one time you could unmute here. Very
We
good.
are Team SuShare. Our motto is save together. All right. I'm going to introduce the team. First off, my name is Jahid. Before Pursuit, I spent the past 10 years in the medical field, but I always had a passion for tech. And when I found out about Pursuit, it was a no-brainer. So yeah, I'm currently killing it in iOS and I'm loving it.
Hey everyone, I'm Matthew. After 2 years in customer service, a Pursuit alumni recommended Pursuit to me as a good fit. And after dabbling in Python for a little bit, I found a new interest in coding and a new passion in iOS development.
Hi, I'm Juan. Before this, I went to college for computer engineering technology. After realizing the major wasn't the right fit, I left to work in customer service into an alumni recommended Pursuit, and I made the switch to software development.
Hi, my name is Shania, and I have a background in computer science, which I was able to expand upon by joining Pursuit. And I am truly excited to use the skills that I've learned to develop apps that are geared towards my interests, like our app SuShare. And with that, I lead you to our problem. My team and I realized that having some sort of savings is not often available in many low-income communities. And due to that fact, we established SuShare, our solution.
So what is a SuShare? Basically, we have adopted an old savings method known as a SuSu, which is an informal rotating savings club. A community will put money into a pot at regular intervals until each person receives the payout for their savings goal, which would normally be too difficult to reach on their own.
Thanks for that explanation, Juan. Okay, so our SuShare takes the SuSu model, but we're relieving you of the constraints of having it be in close proximity. And we're gonna show you how that operates right now. Okay, so when opening up our app, you'll see our login page. If you're a new user, then there's an onboarding process, but for time purposes, we'll sign in as an existing user. All right, once you're logged in, you'll see a collection view of SuShares, but we'll get more into that later. For right now, we're gonna create one of our own. Shania, can you guide us through this?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Jahid. So when creating a SuShare, we have 8 aspects to be filled out, some of which are more surface information, like the image, description, and title of the SuShare. I intend to go into detail on the key aspects. First, we have the pot amount, which is the total amount that each user in the SuShare would receive once the SuShare experience is over. This is not the amount that the users are investing into the SuShare. Next, we have the number of participants, which will determine the amount that each user deposits because we're dividing the pot amount by the number of users. Lastly, we have the payment schedule, which is the final aspect that determines when the participants will receive their pot amount. And with that, we have created our SuShare, and we're back to the Explore page, where we will have Matt go into depth on the Explore page. You're on mute, Matt.
Sorry. As you can see, this is our Explore page. The SuShare that was just created enters on the top. We have several different ways of searching and filtering through the types of SuShares to personalize your experience. You can search on the search bar via query, or you can press the category tags, which will specify the different types of categories, the different things you're looking for to really customize your experience. for what you're looking for. If you click on one of the sous shares, you're going to be brought to the detail view. So that has more detailed information on the type of sous share you're joining, the person who created it, the pot, the regular details, and even comments later on, which are a little window into the type of community that you're going to be spending the next few weeks or months in. If you press the Join Sous Share button, you're going to be taken to the checkout view, which gives you a brief overview of the sous share you're joining with a payment method cell, which when clicked upon brings you to your pre-existing credit cards. If you click on it, it selects it, and if you press Add New Card, it also prompts you with a field to add new card information. When it's selected, you can press the subscribe button, which will use Stripe to take money out of your card and your account and redistribute it to the relevant party whenever that person's time has come to receive the pot. So that's basically the transaction and the flow of that. With that, I'm going to take you over to Juan, who's going to show us some of our social networking features that we have in store.
Alrighty, so we'll see those features in the side view we implemented. So here you'll have your username and profile picture. You can edit your profile picture to the top left. You can do a search so you can find other sous share users, check out what type of sous shares they are interested in. You can scroll down and see all their different sous shares they created. And as well, you can go ahead and add them to a friend to expand your network. So with that, now let's go ahead and show you guys our technical milestones.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Juan. So our technical milestones, probably our most significant technical milestone being Stripe integration. When creating an account, users simultaneously create Stripe accounts under our administrative Stripe account, and all interactions with the external Stripe API are taken care of via Firebase and our cloud functions, which will be shown in the next slide. So these are the functions that we have, all of them written in Java, which was a new experience for all of us, but I think ended up creating a more secure and fleshed out experience for our users. So almost all of the functionality in terms of creating accounts, sending money, transferring money to other users on the relevant times and how frequently that occurs through these Firebase functions. With that, I'm going to send you over to Shania with future implementations on how we can make our app even better.
So the first implementations are geared towards expanding the social aspects of our app and establishing the sous share community. The third is to upload a video to help personalize the sous share. Implementing payouts simply means allowing the money invested into the sous share to be divvied out amongst the users in the sous share. Adding the settings feature so that the users inside of the app are able to edit whatever information they have. And lastly, we want to push the test flight and hopefully have you all participate, and then to the App Store. And now to Jahid.
Thank you. That's a wrap. Thank you to all the Pursuit staff, Alex, Antonio. Thank you for staying with me till midnight sometimes. Our mentors, Taj, Swathi, thanks so much. The Capital One engineers that are here, thank you. And follow us. You have Twitter, you have Instagram, sous share app. Follow us. Thank you.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
Sure.
All right, sous share.
Let's save that money.
Next up, we have Coast.
Coast.
Let's go.
Coast.
Good after morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Coast. Let's meet the team. My name is Cameron Rivera. I have a bachelor's in computer science from Hunter College. Before joining Pursuit, I was volunteering at the New York Common Pantry. After my time at Pursuit is over, I look forward to expanding upon the knowledge I've gained here.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kelby Matan. I first became interested in software engineering while taking an HTML course at the New York Public Library. That's where I found out about Pursuit, and now I'm looking forward to starting a career in iOS.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Brendan Cecilio. I studied web design at the Borough of Manhattan Community College. After, I decided to attend Pursuit to study software development and learn how to express my creativity through code. As a group, we wanted to address the known problem of climate change. Now, due to climate change, Earth's sea levels are on the rise, causing our coastlines to recede. Through our research, we found resources that bring attention to climate change, but few left a lasting impression. Because of this, we feel that people are not as motivated to practice leading a greener lifestyle. Our app aims to inspire users to become part of the solution. Here to tell you more is Kelby.
Thanks, Brendan. Yeah, so as developers, we thought a really creative way to approach this issue was through augmented reality. This allows for a more vivid and immersive experience, and it's something we really haven't seen anywhere else. To do this, we've implemented custom 3D models for a number of locations. A user can then interact with the models to visualize rising sea levels. In addition to that, we've provided a resources page where someone can learn more about actions they could take to lessen their carbon footprint. With the combination of these features, we're hoping that someone will feel more compelled to lessen their carbon footprint. With that, we'd like to take you to the demo.
So the first thing the user sees when they download the app is this welcome screen. The welcome screen thanks them for downloading the application and invites them to begin an onboarding process, or skip it if they'd like. Here we'll begin. There's a lot of information surrounding climate change, so we didn't want to overwhelm the user. We've included basic information about how climate change affects sea levels, how sea levels have varied through time, and just how much of a problem that could be for us in the future. When the user is done with the process, they can begin to explore the application. The effects of sea level rise vary by location, so we've presented the user with a selection of cities to choose from. Here we'll select New York City. This will allow us to learn more about New York City and the threat of rising sea levels. There's a table of contents, which, in addition to giving the user a preview of what information can be learned here, allows them to select only the information they would like to see. Here we'll select, Did You Know? This page tells the user more about why New York City's coastlines are some of the most precious things on God's green earth. As you can see, the text on this page can be a bit dense, so we've included some charts and graphs that Brendan will now tell you more about.
Thank you, Cameron. So this is one of the line graphs that we decided to implement to help visualize the data that we added in our app. It's also interactive, so if the user touches the line, or taps the line actually, a pop-up view will appear with more information. If they want to continue to our AR experience, all they have to do is tap the bottom center button. We added instructions to inform the user that the model requires a horizontal plane in order for the experience to begin. So once that starts, an image will enter the view and the user will be prompted to interact with it. By tapping on the image, a model of New York City will appear. If the user taps on the model, landmarks will be displayed on screen. There's also a slider at the bottom. Toggling the slider will help visualize how sea levels are going to rise in the coming years. The red light indicates which buildings will be affected on the specific year. Once the user finishes the AR experience, they can also see ways to get involved. Here's Kelby to tell you more about that feature.
Thanks, Brendan. Yeah, so at this point in our app, we're really hoping that a user will feel more inspired to learn more about what they could do to take action. So that would take us to our resources page, where they can learn about different suggestions such as biking to work, possibly making a change in their diet, different things, among other things that would help them lead a greener lifestyle. Another thing we've included in our app was accessibility. We use this uses VoiceOver to tell a user an interaction that's available on the screen, and it'll give them a description of what that interaction will do. So we'll go ahead and play a demo of that real quick.
City Street Corner. Tap to learn more about how the rising sea level will affect New York City. Image. Chevron button. What's happening? Shows information explaining how the sea level will rise at the current location. Button. What's happening? Shows information explaining how the sea level, according to the Lower Manhattan Coastal Resilience Survey, 37% of Lower Manhattan will be at risk for storm surges by 2050.
Okay, so that is our app. And now with our technical milestones, we'll go over to Cameron.
Thank you, Kelby. As Kelby just demonstrated, our application supports the VoiceOver feature. Admittedly, accessibility wasn't something we thought about during ideation. Later, our instructor and mentors introduced the concept to us. Given the educational nature of our application, it just made sense to want to reach as many people as possible. So we decided to include it. And while it wasn't technically difficult, it was a bit of a challenge getting the experience just right.
Before having an interactive AER feature, we actually needed to create a model first. So we decided to use the open source application Blender to create our custom 3D model for our AR experience.
And another thing we're really proud of is being able to onboard with RealityKit and ARKit. And in addition to that, Alex was able to set us up with the lab with the Apple engineer. So he was able to help us with some bugs that had to do with our spotlights. So that was a really great learning experience. And we also were able to interact with our entities from our Reality Composer project, and that's what causes the animation of the sea level rise. So that's a quick function of that there. And now to our future implementations.
So we feel that we were able to build a great application within the time we were given, but there's more we'd like to include. Currently, our application uses data from a local JSON file. In the future, we'd like for it to query the NOAA API for more up-to-date information. Additionally, we would like to include more actions in the resources page with links to more detailed information. Lastly, we'd like to have more detailed models and even more cities around the world for the user to choose from.
And that was our app. We'd like to thank Alex Paul, our super awesome, fantastic instructor, Matthew Burke, our mentor, Laura and Lynn, our design mentors, and the rest of the Pursuit staff and fellows.
Give it up for Coast!
Excellent.
All right, Alex.
Hello. So do we want to sing? Do we want some music? Maybe we want some music, but I can't find a musician. Anybody knows of an app? Maybe. Introducing to us last group for the day, Intune. Give it up for Intune. Make some noise.
Intune.
Woo!
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Intune, your musician's app. Stay in touch, stay in tune. A little bit about myself. My name is Christian Hurtado. Before Pursuit, I was a music major at Hunter College. I turned to a software dev career after looking in the App Store one day, not finding the apps that I thought should be up there. And instead of waiting around for them to be built by somebody else, I figure I take the reins, learn how to do it, and put them up there myself. So I've been at Pursuit since September, and it's been a great ride ever since.
Hi, everybody. My name is Oscar, formerly a college student. I discovered Pursuit through a mentor from college and always loved tech and excited to share the app we spent countless hours building.
Hi everyone, I'm Maitri. Before Pursuit, I was a visual artist who was pursuing a degree in computer science. I unfortunately had to drop out because of financial reasons. So I ventured out on my own, found Pursuit, and that's where my software engineering journey began.
Hi everybody, my name is Tiffany Obi. Before Pursuit, I taught pre-K for 4 years, and I loved being an educator and an advocate for my students, and realized that I wanted to reach and help more families. I know I can do that through software engineering, and was so excited when I was introduced to Pursuit, and I'm even more excited for the journey ahead. With that, we'll go into our problem. So there are many artists like myself and Christian who are hungry for opportunities, but they don't have that social media presence. They don't have the followers on Instagram or their tweets and retweets on Twitter. So they're never seen. At the same time, they're enthusiasts that would love to support local artists, but don't have a way of locating them. Quick example, during this coronavirus pandemic, I sang at a few private memorial services, and a lot of these families didn't find me until the day of, almost by accident. If an app like Intune existed, we would have introduced enthusiasts and artists and connected them a lot sooner. With that, we'll go into our solution.
So in times like these, where we feel so isolated and distanced from each other, we decided to create an app where people have an outlet to share their talents. We know that COVID-19 is going to leave long-lasting impressions on our society as well as our economy. So we wanted to give artists the opportunity to use their skills and be able to support themselves. We built Intune to serve as a virtual community and a networking system. So with that said, we will go to Tiffany, who will demo our app.
Thank you so much. So I have a friend named Jess. She's a singer just like me. She told me about this app called Intune. She says that she's connected with a lot of artists, and she's even gotten booked for gigs. Once she told me that, I said I have to sign up. So I downloaded the app and I put my email, my password, sign up. I'm an aspiring artist. For my display name, I think I'll go with Tiff with the Gift. That's catchy, I like that. And I am from California. So she let me know that as a singer, when you choose what instrument you play, you just choose voice. And then you choose what genres you like. I love gospel music and I really love R&B. Done. So she says the first thing you do is populate your app. You want to give yourself a nice profile picture. Choose something that shows your face relatively clearly. And then your username is already there. And you just go ahead and give yourself a bio. So I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm a lover of all creation. And I am so excited to collab with an artist on this app. Now, the most important thing is the video. You need content. She said to add a video that shows your face and sounds good. Let's try this one.
If I can help somebody as I pass along.
That sounds good. Let's choose that. Compressing video. Okay. Post. Awesome. So now I told her that I was looking for an acoustic guitarist. She says that you can press the black search button right at the top, put in acoustic guitarist, and it will filter through all the artists and show you those that play acoustic guitar. Piano with Chris. Okay, he plays piano, acoustic guitar, and he's into pop. I love him already. Let's see a video. He's great. Okay, I'm gonna favorite him with the star button like she said to. And then she said, look at favorite artists, or sorry, liked artists to find him. And then she also let us know that if he posts a gig, you'll see it in the notification bar. So he posted a gig, new post, starting a new band. I'm gonna go over to the gigs tab so I can get some more information. Piano with Chris, starting a new band, looking for a pop band member to sing. Okay, I'm looking for acoustic guitarist and he's looking for a singer, so I'm gonna message him. Hey Chris, you play so well and I would love to collaborate with you. I hope he responds quickly. I'm so eager. He responded, OMG, yes, I would love to collaborate. You sing amazing. Don't you just love Intune? I love this app, it's so convenient. Did my video post yet? Oh, I'm so excited. With that, we'll go into our technical milestones with Chris.
Thank you very much, Tiffany. So we had a couple of technical milestones that you just observed in the app. First one was the tags. You saw that she was able to find Piano with Chris by looking for his acoustic guitar tag. It narrowed down her search bar and she was able to click on his profile. And then we're gonna go on to our next tag, our next thing, which is the chat. The next, she was able to message Chris and he responded right away. It was almost as if Chris knew he was about to get messaged and he had a queue. Who would have thought, right? Match made in heaven. And then the last one we had to learn was videos. Videos is so essential to this app. It is what the app really is, right? Because how else can you verify and appreciate someone else's talents, right? Unless you see it being performed. Who knows? Even Tiff with the Gift and Piano with Chris have a near collaboration in the very near future. Who knows, right? With that, we're gonna go to future implementations with Oscar.
Thank you, Chris. We had so much fun building this app together and left a couple of stuff we would love to share with you in the near future. This includes a live stream feature which will allow artists to share their performances and gigs live. We also want to include a review system which will include feedback from other users in the form of comments. Thank you very much for spending this afternoon with us, and we hope you enjoy getting a glimpse of our app as much as we enjoyed building it. Now I will turn you over to a real success story you saw earlier, brought to you only by Intune.
Strumming my pain with his fingers, singing my life with his words, killing me softly with his song.
You get the point. That was Intune. Thank you very much.
Woo! Yes.
Woo! Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
That's amazing. Wow. Can we get a round of applause for all Yes, please.
Make some noise.
I see a lot of you. I wonder how many of you slept last night.
Not me.
Let's sleep.
What is sleep, right?
We'll get enough of that tomorrow.
So I am so excited to share with you, or introduce to you rather, a former Pursuit Fellow. And now currently a software engineer at Capital One. Daniel Distant is an iOS developer, and his journey to software development has been anything but traditional, but he's using his unique background, exceptional communication skills, and passion for creating awesome software to better the world. Without further ado, let us put our hands together and welcome Daniel Distant. Woohoo! Daniel?
Hey everyone. Hi, how's it going? Do you mind not sharing or unsharing your screen? Great, thanks. That's my fault for allowing Jessa to use that really old picture of me. That picture is like 7 years old, maybe. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. First, let me just say, wow, fantastic presentations, all of you. Your apps are amazing. And yeah, I mean, I remember my capstone project was not nearly as good. So congrats to all of you. You really did an excellent job. I guess just to start, I'll be talking about my journey in tech since being a Pursuit Fellow and graduating in 2016, and just kind of what you can expect going forward. So, oh, and there'll be time, I think, Jessa, you said like a few minutes for questions at the end. So yeah, just if there's anything you want to ask, just feel free to ask at the end. So I guess just to introduce myself, I'm Daniel Distant. I'm a software engineer at Capital One. I actually work on Andrew's, one of Andrew's teams, Andrew Glenn, who spoke earlier. I work on the main iOS application for Capital One. I was part of Pursuit's 2.2 cohort. And when I first heard about Pursuit, or I guess I should start a little bit earlier than that. When I graduated from college, I graduated into a recession, not a ton of jobs out there. So it was pretty rough. But I eventually used my English degree to start working as a copy editor. And what that meant was I was really good at catching little mistakes and really good at typing really fast. And so when I heard about Pursuit through a friend, and I applied, I was able to get in partially because of those things, because I didn't really know anything about anything about coding. Like even through college, I had friends who were in computer science, and I was like, wow, that sounds like a lot of math, which I'm not interested in. So I just kind of ignored it. But yeah, so applying to C4Q, back then it was called Coalition for Queens instead of Pursuit, and the program was called Access Code. And I made it through the interview process, and I did the nights and weekends program, and it was a pretty tough process. I think probably very similar to what you all are going through right now or went through already. So back at that time, Swift was pretty new. I saw someone mention in the chat Swift, but we were learning everything in Objective-C, which meant just crashing my app. Everything I was building would just crash all the time because Objective-C is kind of like the Wild West. But eventually we came to a time where we were doing our capstone projects. My team had this mobile game called Zetron that was built on top of the iPhone's core Bluetooth framework. And it was basically like a game of tag that you could play with your phone. So I don't know how practical it was, but it was fun to play, even though it was very tiring. And I remember being really nervous during the presentations and going through that whole thing. And actually the presentations went really well. And then it was kind of like, well, now what? You know, I'm finished with this thing that, you know, me and my team have been building for 6 weeks, or I think was actually closer to 4 weeks for us. And what's next? So I think I was surprised that after that, there was still so much to do. So our program was, I think, slightly different. We were doing data structures and algorithms all after our capstone project. And so that was our first introduction to them. And so it was really, really tough. We were just trying to, you know, we had learned kind of more practical programming stuff like iOS, UIKit, and, you know, parsing JSON and these kinds of things. And then it was like, okay, well, now what's the difference between merge sort and bubble sort? And it's like, wait, what? Like this, this isn't what we've been doing this whole time. But I guess the point of that is to never really stop learning. During this whole capstone project experience, a lot of you went into new territory. There was no one there to really tell you exactly what to do or how to build things. And I think that's very indicative of what you should expect as a software engineer. No one's going to tell you exactly how to do everything you need to do. And so a lot of it you need to figure out on your own. And I think that's why Capstone, and to a certain extension Pursuit, is such a great program, because it gives you the skills not only to, you know, be able to learn all these things, but to self-learn and to teach yourself, and to comb through Apple's terrible documentation, where sometimes you go to a page and it's like, yeah, there's nothing there. So anyway, after my capstone project, I remember applying to a ton of different places, just looking for someone to give me a chance to get my foot in the door. And I remember the very first place that I got through the recruiter screening and everything, I got a take-home technical challenge that was, I had 2 hours to complete. And I remember I started working on it, and about an hour into it, I realized that I was using a collection view, and they asked for a scroll view to do like horizontal scrolling. So I basically bombed it so bad. And I was so very discouraged because of that. But I realized that, you know, if I could make it through all those sleepless nights, just trying to figure out how a table view works, or, you know, trying to understand or memorize Big O notation, then I could definitely do this. And so eventually I ended up getting a job at Vice. And I remember talking to my, my then boss, he's my mentor now. He told me that one of the reasons I was hired wasn't because of my technical skill, but because I was really willing to learn. I could communicate really well, and I wouldn't give up. Like when they gave me their own technical challenge, and it took me a week to work on it, but I didn't give up, and I always was trying to improve upon what I did. And so I think that although obviously all of you know how to code, like Andrew said, it's not the most important thing, because you can teach someone to code, you can teach a lot of folks to code, but you can't teach grit and determination and passion and really wanting to succeed in making your app or whatever you're working on better. I remember I started working at Vice. That was the first place I worked, this media organization. And I got that first paycheck and realized that my salary had tripled, you know, and it's just a mind-blowing feeling to, like, you know, realize that you have succeeded, that you've made it somewhere. And I mean, I know it's going to happen for all of you. And I can't wait for you guys to experience that feeling, because it's great. Really, it is. And yeah, so I guess journey to Zach, right? All right, so after that, I was working at Vice, their giant Objective-C application, really tough to get my head around it. And for many of you, I think that's something that you'll learn to deal with when you first get into your first professional software engineer position. These applications are giant, thousands of lines of code, sometimes 10, 20,000 lines just right off the bat. And you're like, all right, well, I need to make one small change. Where do I start? So yeah, I mean, that was definitely a learning experience for me. And, but eventually I sort of found my footing, because I learned to ask a lot of questions. And I think that goes back to like the whole, you know, never stop learning thing. Like, there's no way for you to come in and work on a team and just do everything by yourself. It's impossible. And I think you all know that, having worked with your teammates on your capstone projects, it's not possible to do everything by yourself. So definitely try your best to ask a lot of questions. You know, when you first get to your first job, people will be throwing acronyms left and right. Just stop and say, hey, what does that mean? You know, what should I be working on? Where are the designs I should be working on? Or if anything's unclear, definitely ask a lot of questions. Sorry, my throat gets dry. Anyway, so working in my first software engineer job. Eventually I found my footing, and I was put in charge of this redesign, which was probably the biggest project I had worked on as a software engineer, you know, my very first job. And it was really tough. And I remember completing it and being very, very proud of myself. I would show people, I would show my, then my girlfriend, now my wife, hey, look what I worked on, download the app. And she was like, I don't read that, so I'm not going to do that, but good job. And maybe 2 weeks after we finished the redesign, or might've been a month, the entire mobile team got laid off, which included me. So, the iOS developers, the Android developers, everyone on the team got laid off. And I remember thinking, I can't believe that I'm back at square one. I worked so hard in Pursuit, or at that time, Access Code, updated my resume, bothered as many people on LinkedIn as I could. I exhausted all my networking and all my resources to get just this one job. And after 1 year, it was over. And I remember, getting pretty discouraged, because it's like, I can't believe that I have to go through this entire process. I didn't have, what was it called? Career View at the time. So it was I just had a big Google sheet, just trying to keep track of all these jobs that were saying no to my face. And I did not want to do that again. But an interesting thing happened. As soon as I posted on LinkedIn that, hey, I'm looking for a new iOS developer position, my phone started ringing, and recruiters were calling me left and right. And, I'm getting calls from numbers I don't recognize, and people are blowing up my LinkedIn. Oh, hey, come work for us, come work for us. And I realized that the skills that I gained at Pursuit were really, really valuable, lifelong skills that, you probably won't learn in such a, in such a solid foundational way anywhere else. Yeah, and it wasn't long before I found my next job, my next position. And now I'm at Capital One. I work at a great team. It's a fantastic place to work. So, please, you all apply, because I would love to see more Pursuit fellows working here. I actually work with a couple of Pursuit fellows who were at Capital One before and after me. They still work there, and I hang out with them all the time. So yeah, I guess if I could just sum up what I'm saying, I know I'm at 2:30. I've been talking a little too long. Sorry, Dessa. I know there's a schedule. I'd say that all of you definitely have unique stories, unique backgrounds. Bring that to your job search. Bring that to your next software position, because tech really needs you. I'd say that all of your blood, sweat, and tears that you've been shedding are for something, and you will get that first job, whether it's a month from now, 2 months, 6 months from now, you will. Trust me, there's a real huge gap, a need for talented software engineers like yourself. And obviously don't stop learning. You want to continue to just broaden your horizons in terms of programming, because it's a big world out there. And I'd say finally that the skills that you have are very valuable. Don't think for a second that any of this was a waste of time, or that you can't do this, because you absolutely can. And your projects today are proof of that. So that is all I have for you guys today. Thanks.
The floor is open, right, Dessa, for questions?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Fellows, go ahead. Ask away.
I'll kick it off.
I guess I'll go ahead.
Sorry. So I'm not sure. You mentioned at one point you wound up out of work, having to start over again. But what I'm really curious about is in this last year, we in the educational space, just learning this stuff, how to make the transition from local to remote. Have you had to deal with that? And if so, how did that impact yourself and your team?
Local to remote, that's actually a really good question, Greg. Or Gregory, sorry, I don't know what you prefer, but
either one's fine.
Who said horizontal stack? What is that? Learn this VStack? Yeah, absolutely. What has it been like? It has definitely been a learning curve. I'm not personally a huge fan of working remotely. I like to be in the office, and I guess this is a good time to mention software is a team sport. It's very, very collaborative. You all know this. It's probably somewhat jarring to be in the same room with someone, be able to tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, this isn't returning what I expect, or hey, let's discuss how this implementation should work, and then having to set up some Zoom time with them. So that's the main thing. But I'd say as long as you have, I mean, for me, my team that I work with has a really good habit of communicating and over communicating as much as possible. So if someone needs to go run out and run an errand, they're letting the entire team know. If someone's not going to be available, like for example, today my manager was like, hey, can we talk at 2:15 today? And I was like, hey, I'm going to be, talking to the Pursuit fellows at this time. And so we rescheduled. So just that habit of communication helps the remote transition to be much easier. And obviously it helps to have a desk chair. I mean, you all can't see it, but I have my handy dandy desk chair right here. And that made it a little bit easier for me.
Over communicate and desk chair. Got it. Thank you.
I do have a question. I'm super excited about the app that my group and I created. I feel like we can really relate to it. And I'm kind of curious about what app you created for your capstone and what exactly happened with it.
Oh, why'd you have to ask that? Okay, thanks, Tiffany, for that. So here's what happened with Zetron. The app I created was called Zetron. It was a mobile app in the App Store, and essentially the way it worked was you and a few friends would get together, all with the Zetron app. You would turn it on. We would use multi-peer connectivity to get all of the users into the same room, and then we would use core Bluetooth to tell whether your phone is close enough or far enough from that person. And you would basically play tag. And so if you chase someone, you had to be near them for, I think it was 2 or 3 seconds before their phone would turn orange and then red to indicate that they had the Zetron virus. It was like a whole retro thing. It was really cool at the time, but unfortunately, we didn't really maintain it after our capstone project time was ended because we all were focused. Oh, is it still there in the App Store? I'm sure it like crashes now if you look for it. All Objective-C, and with tons of just Swift has guard. There's no guard in Objective-C, so yeah, it's just it's pretty risky programming. But we didn't maintain it. We didn't end up adding all the new features that we planned on doing because we were focused on the job hunt. But I will say that although we didn't maintain it, and eventually, I think it's in the App Store still, how is it not crashing? I actually built that entire screen. If you look at Alex's screen, I built that entire screen in SpriteKit. So you can see the retro graphics. I spent an inordinate amount of time on this, and it's like just the help screen. Wow, I haven't looked at that app in a very long time. But it's okay to not go back and maintain all your own old projects. I'd say definitely put more work into your capstone projects because you've already put thought into it. But it's okay to not go back and maintain everything as long as you are working on something, something that interests you, something that is new. For me, personally, I haven't had time to dive into all the WWDC stuff, but this past weekend I was just looking at all the Swift UI stuff, HStack and VStack, and all the new stuff that's come out, and just spending my time with that. And I'm building an app based on that stuff. It's actually a social distancing app, and I'm going to use multi-peer connectivity again. But yeah, I'd say as long as you're ABC, always be coding kind of stuff, you're good to go.
I like that. ABC. Okay.
I think we have time for one more question.
Yeah, I'm going way over. Sorry.
Don't worry. No, this is great.
I have a question. I have a question on code review. I know, like, when you first enter a position as a junior engineer or an entry-level engineer, there's differences in coding style. How did code review happen in your first position?
That's an excellent question, Amani. Code review, different places do it different ways. The very first position I had, code reviews happened. I wasn't allowed to participate in any of the code review. I wasn't reviewing anyone else's code, but folks would review my code. And so as long as one person reviewed my code, then it could be merged in. So usually it was a significant amount of back and forth for my first pull requests on GitHub. Changes in formatting, removing white space. And then sometimes it was just like, hey, this implementation has mistakes or bugs, and I would have to go back and fix them. And that back and forth, even though it can seem kind of like pedantry, why is it important that I remove white space? Why is it important that I make my switch statement as neat as possible? It turns out to be important because the code is, what's the best way to say this? The most important thing about your code is that someone else can read it. That's the most important thing, because if you are building something with a team of people, there's a almost 100% chance that someone will be reading your code very soon and probably have to change something. Code is living. It's constantly evolving and changing. So the clearer and neater and more direct you can make your code, the better. And that's what code reviews taught me. And so at my current company, it requires 2 engineers to look at your code and review them for any pull request. 2 engineers have to look at it and review it. And you can kind of tell the difference between some of the more junior engineers and some of the more senior engineers, because the junior engineers sometimes will use like the ternary operator and all these very fancy solutions. And sometimes, if case let or if else is just as good and has the added benefit of clarity. And so you want to, you obviously want to review as much code as you can. For me personally, when I was a junior, I wasn't allowed to review code, but I still went and reviewed code, if you know what I mean. Like I would just go and look at people's pull requests and read through them as much as possible. So yeah, I would say code reviews is different at every company, but the point is to make your code as readable for the next developer as possible. I see the comments, Christian, that's funny. Yeah, as long as your comments don't look like that, you're good to go.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem.
Woo! And the audience choice award goes to dun 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 dun. Arabia! Oh my goodness.
No, you guys killed it.
Oh my God. This is like sports all over again. Sports is back. We have sports again.
Sports is back. Okay. So we also have one other award, which is the Judges' Choice Award. So just give us a few more minutes as we get in those votes.
Is there a thing the same group cannot win twice?
No, there is no such thing.
Alex, thank you for voting for us.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Is this true, Alex? Is this true?
My hands has been off the keyboard.
Both hands in the breast pocket right now.
I would love Career View to give a few remarks, maybe.
Oh, yes. I would like to thank my mother and my dad. And
I knew you were a part of their group. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, we still have more programming to do.
I'm just kidding.
Career View, who's the, come on. Who's talking?
I think Greg should say the words since he's the one who initially thought of this app. Greg?
Wow, there's a top.
Thank you all. We worked really hard, and I mean, everybody did such a great job. So honestly, this whole thing was tough. So I really just want to congratulate all of us for putting together some great apps, some great presentations, and honestly having great energy behind all of it. I'm proud of the entire class.
Yeah.
Well said, well said. I heard there's a tie with the judges. Is that a thing?
Oh, no. 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 Without further ado, that was the Audience Choice Award. Without further ado, I'd love to present the Judges' Choice Award. The Best in Class App Award goes to dun dun dun
dun dun dun dun. Bailamos, bailamos.
Okay. All right. So.
Tiffany, is this bigger than the Oscars? It is, yes.
It's so much bigger than an Oscar.
Oh, she's crying. Oh, this is wonderful. So now, In Tune, can you say a few words for the audience?
Yeah, for real, our group started off like a little shaky at first as far as like trying to get like on the same schedule and trying to get on the same page, how to build the app, how to go about attempting to solve the problem. And I think we've all gotten so much closer, and we really, really built a bond doing this app. We learned each other a lot more. We hyped each other up a lot too. We kept it real with each other. We talked, we really wanted to get to know each other. And I think that really came through in the end. I'm so excited and I'm so proud of my team. They're the ball.
I think most importantly, we never let ourselves get too down about anything. We always offered to pick each other up when there was an issue, whether or not it was code related. So I think knowing that we were there for each other outside of Xcode was made it easy to connect and come together. That's a good podcast name, by the way. Outside Xcode, I like that. Start that podcast.
Gonna get in tune.
In terminal.
Xcode.
Very good, very good.
Right. So that brings us to the end of our technical showcase.
No, let's continue.
I would love for us to continue, but I did promise everyone that.
Yes. It's still Wednesday. We still have work to do at Capital One and at Center and the rest of the world.
Just wanted to say thank you to all of our wonderful volunteers for coming out today, for all the staff that came out to support 6.3, for Alex, for Caroline, my PM compatriot, for everyone who has actually had a hand in supporting our fellows. And also, first and foremost, to our fellows. You all have really put in the work. You've put in the effort, the time, the sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the working through the group dynamics, everything. You have done it. This is your work, and it's evidence of your capabilities, both on a technical level and also on a professional level. And I can't wait to see what you all do with the gold, diamond, and platinum that you are. It's been a joy to get to know all of you, and I am excited for the next step in the journey, which is going to be job readiness and job search. And I can't wait to support all of you and see your dreams come through for you.